Welcome to the Digital Health Pulse. I'm Trevor Yasinow. Let's jump into today's conversation. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Digital Health Pulse video series with myself, Trevor Yasinow. I am joined today by Jess Ferretti, Vice President of Business Development and Provider Relations for You Are Accountable. Welcome, Jess.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of
Appreciate
course.
you. Nice to
Of
see you.
course. Great to see you too. So, Jess, to dive into it, my first question for you is, can you tell me more about You Are Accountable?
Yeah, absolutely. So you are accountable. We kind of refer to ourselves as like addiction tech, kind of a niche carve out in a more broad, behavioral health, mental health space. And what we are is we're wraparound recovery support. So we're able to offer things like testing, coaching, and then really the bigger picture, just sort of the community around sobriety and recovery and what that looks like for folks.
So, what makes the company so unique compared to others in the industry? Because I know we've seen so much about, tobacco, cessation, smoking, addiction. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things, and I think to understand what is different, you kind of have to understand why it exists. So, our company is comprised about 98% of people in long-term recovery, myself included. I'm coming up on 14 years in July. And our CEO, Matt, awesome guy. He OD'd many years ago, and he built this programming out of necessity, right? Of these are the plot holes that are missing in long-term recovery. These are the things that we don't have. These are the pieces that would have been really helpful. And that's been able to create this really unique experience. And we really are the only ones in the space doing it this way. And I'll kind of call out the two things and the reason why. First being we are substance agnostic. So meaning substance of choice, it doesn't matter. There are other programs in the space that are focused on alcohol use or focused on opiates. For us, the efficacy of the program doesn't wane in any way, shape, or form, regardless of substance. So that's something really unique. And then part two of that, I think that we're really mindful about recognizing that addiction, abuse, sobriety as a whole, it isn't a one size fits all experience. It's super personal, and you never know who's fighting a quiet battle. It's not always just, oh, this person got out of a facility and now they need this treatment, right? It's more pervasive than that.
Who are your primary customers and how do they benefit from the solution?
Sure. So I think there's a couple of ways to answer it. So I'll give you the long version of it. We're kind of at a point now where we're expanding our partnerships to answer the call of how do you actually reduce SUD, right, or substance use disorder claims. So where we've been prior is really working with inpatient treatment facilities, recovery facilities, detox, sober living, right, IOP facilities or IOP I should say environments. Where we are now in recognizing that the U.S. employer market is spending roughly $35 billion a year on SUD claims, we're able to offer that more broadly. So we are starting to look at different environments where we have channel partnerships, right? Some of the really big call outs for us, the caregiving space, HRIS space. I would say mental health and wellness space in general. I think there's some great offerings, but the granularity of SUD doesn't really exist in a meaningful way. And then, of course, the employer space, right? Direct to employer. We look at industries that are deeply impacted by SUD claims. So thinking about, construction, legal, finance, SaaS in general. These organizations, specifically in the US, on the low end, are spending somewhere around 100K a year in SUD claims. And that's just the claim itself, right? So that's not taking into account safety, productivity or lack thereof. Someone shows up impaired to work, they're not productive, absenteeism, right, time away to actually recover. So it's able to offer a benefit, a tangible proactive solution to something that again is hyper personal, hyper reactive. Nobody's really been able to create a replicable and effective process around substance use, and we have.
Amazing. So, what is one exciting trend that you're seeing in digital health right now?
For sure. I love this question. Big fan of the
Thank
show,
you.
right? I think granularity, like we are starting to see specifically, and my background is more in mental health and wellness, getting into these more granular lines of business in that space, in the digital health tech space. I think there's a lot of amazing companies doing a lot of amazing things, but I think that we as an industry are at a point where we're recognizing you can be okay at a lot of things, or you could be great, right? You could be the expert at one or two things. And we're starting to see that hyper focus on what folks are really experts in is leading to more effective treatment, more effective benefit offerings, right? More effective impact overall. So I think just not going so broad stroke and having that those niche environments now, like an accountable, I'm seeing that pop up all over the place, and it's really exciting. It's something that's different.
It's amazing. Yeah, I think benefit leaders, right? They want to understand, okay, how does this differentiate in the market and are you the best at what you're doing? And so it's clear to see that is absolutely a trend. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah. And folks get swamped, right? I mean, we all hear there's always something new and something interesting and something exciting, and I think most of us, our inboxes are flooded of just people asking us to look at things, and I'm always really excited. My ears always really perk up when there's something that I could say, "Oh, they do this," and I think that's really important in the space in general and business in general.
So what does the next year look like for You Are Accountable? Any big goals or milestones on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, we're pumped. Like we're just in such a cool space. You know, we're a great little company filled with really interested and passionate people. A partnership we're excited about, and I'm allowed to say it here because they're a great company. We're partnering with Charlie Health. Charlie Health is a digital IOP provider. We are releasing this huge, robust partnership with them. Just exciting stuff, and we're continuing to think through other areas where we can support in the same way. And then just in general, continuing to make the conversation about addiction and recovery and sobriety less taboo. Again, people fight these quiet battles, and it's not always so obvious that somebody's struggling. And I think that's where we start to get into the employer space and understanding like, hey, people that are sitting at their desks all day doing their job, it doesn't mean they're not struggling with this. So having something as an offering, we're just excited. The feedback's been tremendous of people really understanding why we do what we do and getting excited to do it with us.
Absolutely. I can just tell already. I mean, this is a type of solution that, let's say it's not just impacting the employee, but it's probably affecting either someone that they know, someone in their family, someone that they would call maybe, a loved one. So it's just monumental to see how big of a population this is touching.
Yeah, yeah, and how big it can go. There's sort of sky's the limit in terms of who is impacted and who can be positively sort of touched by this type of programming.
Absolutely. Well, it was great to learn more about what You Are Accountable is doing in the digital health space today. I'm looking forward to seeing all the exciting things that the company
Mm,
will be doing, and I'll be cheering you guys on from
appreciate it.
from my little microphone. So thank you so much for joining me today, Jess.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Digital Health Pulse. A huge thank you to my guest today. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to like, repost, share, and follow for more chats with the top innovators and leaders in digital health. Have a company you'd love to see featured? Drop a comment or reach out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.